Hey, what's up guys, this is Ian. Hope you are doing great, my friends. As I promised, I'm gonna be doing several videos about different concepts that we have to understand clearly to begin investing in a responsible, intelligent, and profitable way. So today, I'm gonna be talking about the EBITDA, or earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. EBITDA is a measure of a company's overall financial performance and is used as an alternative to simple earnings or net income in some circumstances. EBITDA, however, can be misleading because it strips out the costs of capital investments like property, plant, or equipment. It excludes expenses associated with debt by adding back interest expense and taxes to earnings. Nonetheless, it is a more precise measure of corporate performance since it is able to show the earnings before the influence of accounting and financial deductions. EBITDA is calculated in a straightforward manner with information that is easily found on a company's income statement and balance sheet. EBITDA equals net income plus interest plus taxes plus depreciation plus amortization, or EBITDA equals operating profit plus depreciation expense plus amortization expense. So in a few words, EBITDA is a measure of profitability. While there is no legal requirements for companies to disclose their EBITDA according to the US Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, it can be worked out and reported using the information found in a company's financial statements. The drawbacks of EBITDA. EBITDA does not fall under the Generally Accepted Accounting Principles as a measure of financial performance. Because EBITDA is a non-GAAP measure, its calculation can vary from one company to the next. It is not uncommon for companies to emphasize EBITDA over net income because it is more flexible and can distract other problems areas in the financial statements. My friends, an important red flag for investors to watch is when a company starts to report EBITDA prominently, when it hasn't done so in the past. This can happen when companies have borrowed heavily and are experiencing rising capital and development costs. In this circumstance, EBITDA can serve as a distraction for investors and may be misleading. A common misconception is that EBITDA represents cash earnings. However, unlike free cash flow, EBITDA ignores the cost of assets. One of the most common criticisms of EBITDA is that it assumes that profitability is a function of sales and operations alone, almost as if the assets and financing the company needs to survive were a gift. EBITDA also leaves out the cash required to fund working capital and the replacement of old equipment. For example, a company may be able to sell a product for a profit, but what did it use to acquire the inventory needed to fill its sales channels? In the case of a software company, EBITDA does not recognize the expense of developing the current software versions or upcoming products. While subtracting interest payments, tax charges, depreciation, and amortization from earnings may seem simple enough, different companies use different earnings figures as the starting point for EBITDA. In other words, EBITDA is susceptible to the earnings accounting games found on the income statement. Even if we account for the distortions that results from interest, taxation, depreciation, and amortization, the earnings figures in EBITDA is still unreliable. And worst of all, EBITDA can make a company look less expensive than it really is. When analysts look at stock price multiples of EBITDA rather than bottom line earnings, they produce lower multiples. Summarizing, EBITDA is just one of various parameters that we have to take into account when analyzing a stock. And as many others, it could be very useful or very misinforming depending on the company's situation, sector, or cycle. So that's it for today, guys. Remember, I will be constantly uploading videos about other financial parameters to share with you all these things that we need to know before investing on any company. I will also be uploading analysis on a couple of stocks that are presenting a very interesting opportunity for a position opening these days. So please subscribe and hit the like button if you want to stay tuned, and see you in a couple of days.